This is going to be my reaction video to the Lions' 34-20 win over the Packers at Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football. Second time the Lions have been invited to play on Thursday Night Football and really put on a show. Controlled almost the entire game. We'll say large stretches of the game. There's a period in there in the third quarter where both sides of the ball seem to let up, but they put on a clinic in run blocking up front. The offensive line across the board I thought played really well. David Montgomery ran super hard. 32 carries, I believe, like 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. The offense was really in control other than the opening possession interception, and then 2 drives in the third quarter where I don't know if they let off the gas or what the issue was, but things looked slightly different. I think it was 2 3-and-outs in that third quarter where they were really unable to get anything going. And then the fourth quarter was just a show of force. The offensive line just ground out some possessions. Helped Montgomery punch in a 4th-and-goal touchdown run with 6 minutes left. I think it's the 10th possession. I'll show the play breakdown here. I like to, if it's your first time watching one of my reaction videos, I like to show a couple of possession data breakdowns, and I'll show the 3rd and the 10th for the Lions here in a moment. But anyway, that 4th-and-goal, 1-yard touchdown run by Montgomery pushed the lead to 34-17. Multiple guys on the defensive side had sacks or put pressure on Jordan Love. Jerry Jacobs, of course, had 2 interceptions. Now, the defense was amazing in the first half, just across the board. They first they held the Packers to a field goal after that early turnover. Packers did have 2 good drives in the third quarter, but, I mean, the first half was overwhelming defense. There were so many guys who contributed to it. And then you go out there in the third quarter, it was really unusual. There was a real tenuous few moments, I thought, after Brian Branch got injured and carted off the field. Then Derek Barnes, maybe 2 plays later, he went off the field. Looked like maybe cramps. And there was a moment where you thought the Packers could get back into it. And talk about Branch more a little bit later on, a thought that I have on him. So when the Packers scored on that touchdown to, I think, Jalen Reed to open the fourth quarter over the middle of the field, that cuts it to 27-17. Like 10 seconds into the fourth quarter. I don't know about you, but I was like, man, we're going to have a game here. They go for 2, and John Kaminsky stemmed the tide with a critical tackle on Jordan Love, I thought. A speed option play to the weak side. I thought the Packers called that twice. Once early, and the running back got wiped out. And then again here, Kaminsky makes the tackle. Somebody went with the pitch man, the running back. So the 2-point conversion stop preserves a 10-point lead. So many D linemen like Kaminsky had moments, making plays at various times against the run in the pass. I'll let some stats show here instead of just the dynamic pictures. Isaiah Buggs, I thought he had 3 or 4 plays where he looked incredibly disruptive. Alim McNeil had a 2-play stretch. I think he had a sack, a tackle for loss and a sack, consecutive plays. Kaminsky had a sack later on, kind of stole it from Hutchinson, or maybe it was a play that Hutchinson didn't finish. But and one thing to note with the defense, the Lions totally shut down the run game once again. 1 week after, 4 days after, the Falcons only netted 44 yards on 20 carries. They completely stop Green Bay's run game. I think through 4 games, if I did my math right, the Lions' defense has only allowed 237 yards rushing, somewhere in that number. Tonight, the Packers got 27 rushing yards, as you see right there, on 12 carries. It's pretty amazing if you ask me. But anyway, going back to Kaminsky's tackle, preserves the 27-17 lead. And then it seemed like Ben Johnson and the Lions' offense just hit another gear. It seemed like they decided to put the game away on their own. Let's get to we'll show the play-by-play here. It's the 10th possession. Like I said, after the Packers had cut it to 27-17. Ends up being a 14-play drive. They were going to settle on a field goal to make it 30-17. Actually, they in fact did settle for a field goal that converted it, but Packers inside linebacker Quay Walker, unfortunately for the Packers, was called for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I guess leaping over the offensive line isn't illegal if you can do it from within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. He was too far back, I guess. Dan Campbell clearly, accepted the first down because I think that would have made it 30-17 with 8:12 left, 8:14, something like that. Campbell decides to go for it on a 4th and goal from the 1. give to Montgomery, who was just a soldier tonight. That drive featured an amazing diving catch by Josh Reynolds. I think it's about halfway down your screen. 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line, listed as 12 personnel under center. I didn't catch the formation. Sometimes the broadcast is a little bit late showing you things, so the formation, doesn't show up, so I'll just put like shotgun or under center. Anyway, play action boot. I thought Goff let Reynolds clear to the sideline like a deep out and threw it in a place where I thought it was elite accuracy there, because I thought Goff threw it in a place where only Reynolds could get to the football. So it was going to be two results, either a great catch by Reynolds or an incomplete pass. Reynolds also had a really nice one-handed grab on like a back shoulder fade or back shoulder throw from Goff in the second quarter. But the play I really like on this drive is the third play from the top, the 1st and 10 from the negative 35-yard line. It's bunch left under center, which it seems like Ben Johnson and the Lions use a lot more under center bunch than other teams. Most teams, when they're in the bunch, it's like A or B. Running back is on the same side as the bunch. I call that A. Running back on the opposite side, away from the bunch, we call that B. But this third play is bunch under center. There's a play fake to Montgomery to the field, to the wide side of the field. And then Goff kicks back. It seems as if his face mask looks in the middle of the field and then immediately comes back to Montgomery. I think it's a design play out into the flats, to the wide side of the field. Montgomery laid a shot on someone, I think kind of spun off someone for a tackler for 12 yards. I really liked that play. Particularly, it's a 1st and 10 after they just got a first down with Gibbs. Goff looked really in control on this drive. They go down there, convert the field goal, the penalty on Walker, gives them the ball back, extends the possession. The amazing thing about this drive is I think Gibbs and Montgomery combined for 10 touches on this possession. Montgomery surged it in on a 4th and goal just to finish off the statement win. Man, when you're watching that moment, for me, I was like, okay, they were overwhelming physically in the first half. The third quarter, things kind of evened out. This seemed to be a moment where they just decided to put the Packers to bed. I thought it was a really impressive first half. Beyond impressive. I mean, for real, it was dominating. The athleticism, the physicality, and just the aggression. The Lions seemed to be the aggressor in almost every engagement. The only guy who, and I think the announcers hit it right, I don't know about you, but I was laughing at Al Michaels. He cursed a couple of times or said things that were kind of offhanded or offbeat, and I was surprised by it. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't watch Thursday Night Football unless the Ravens or the Lions are playing. I don't agree with having players play on 4 days rest. I just don't. Personally, as a coach, I've declined games before, youth football, not high school, where we were going to play on short notice and was not going to do that to players that did not think it was safe. But in any case, the only guy that was really being disruptive for the Packers defense early was Rashawn Gary. Other than that, it was really one-sided. The final play of the first half is kind of a real illustration of it. I think there's 3 seconds left in the half, and the announcer said the Packers are going to have go with a Hail Mary. Well, the Lions brought 5, and Charles Harris, he looked really healthy tonight. I had said in other videos lately that he wasn't finishing plays. He would be in on a tackle or in on a potential sack and just not finish the play or even get his hands on someone and the ball carrier or the quarterback would get away. Well, this last play of the first half, 3 seconds left, he clean hand swipe on the left tackle to get Jordan Love first. It looked like Hutchinson was there a split second later. I don't know how it goes down. I think I did see that Hutchinson had 1.5 sacks. So many guys got pressure. I think 5 sacks tonight, maybe 6. There's different pass rush in the last 8 quarters of play defensively. 7 sacks against the Falcons last week. That 27-3 lead was built with just unbelievable defensive effort. I think the Packers had negative yardage up until the 3rd and long completion late in the second quarter to Dobbs along the right sideline. They had negative yardage, I believe, up to that point. Like I said, McNeil had a 2-play sequence where a tackle for loss and a sack 4 sacks in the first half, only allowed 3 first downs in the first half, 2 of which was on that last drive leading up to the potential Hail Mary at the end of the half that Charles Harris ruined for the Packers with the sack. Packers have ran 22 plays and gained just 21 total yards on 7 possessions. Yeah, they were down, I think, 2 offensive linemen, but it's not like the Lions were blitzing a ton to make that happen. This was just pure wins up front by the guys up there, which you didn't really see against the Seahawks. Like I said, Hutchinson, Harris, Kaminsky all had quarterback hits or sacks. The D tackles, Buggs, Jones. I think Jones had a tackle for loss. The coverage was really nice, but you don't see the broadcast angle all the time unless you get a replay. Branch did have a really nice third down swat on an out route. Jerry Jacobs, I think, did get a DPI again, had 2 interceptions clearly. I thought the DPI was questionable on Jacobs. I thought it was physical coverage, but I did see the replay. But for the replay, you only saw Jacobs like from behind the defense. So maybe, you didn't see if there was a hand in there or what. But the Lions offense had a stretch, I thought, on offense that really showed who the bully was. After the interception, here's their next 4 possessions. And I'll get to the third one that I'll talk about in a moment. After the interception on the first possession, they go 7 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. That's their second possession. And then the third one is 6 plays, 55 yards, touchdown. Fourth possession, the third one in this sequence I'm talking about, 6 plays, 51 yards, field goal. Then you get the interception by Jacobs on a ball intended for Christian Watson. It was good to see Christian Watson playing, by the way. I understand he hadn't played yet this year, even though he only had 2 catches. And then Montgomery has 2 runs to bash it into the Packers defense. The second of which was a clean cut by Montgomery after a hurry up that pushed the lead to 24-3, just over a minute into the second quarter. And the amazing thing about that run is 1 minute into the game, the Packers are up 3-0. The next 14 minutes of gameplay, the Lions score 4 times. The 4 scores I just described to you, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Pretty unbelievable how efficient they were able to be against the Packers defense. Packers down 2 starting corners. Well, how do you explain 211 rushing yards given up? Let's go to the third drive here. Third possession. Lions are only up 7-6 here. Again, interception on the first possession. Second possession, 77 plays, 75 yards. Here's the third one. The defense just got to stop. And you've got one play I really like that they ran to Gibbs, I think 3 times tonight. I call it same side runs. And it means the running back is lined up on the right. Historically, the predominant run plays when the running back is on one side of the quarterback in the shotgun is crossing the quarterback's face to the opposite side of the formation. A same side run, Gibbs lines up on the right, steps towards Goff. Maybe there's a slight hesitation, accepts the football in a handoff, and then runs to the same side, the right side. Some people call it same side run. That's where I got the phrase or the terminology from. And this one I think is like a draw. 2 other ones later in the game was counters. So Gibbs is on one side, steps to Goff, gets the handoff, and then cuts back to the same side behind 2 pulling linemen. Reynolds with the 3rd and 3 here was empty. Was a incredible catch by Reynolds, the one I referenced earlier. One-handed catch. I think there's a catch. I think there's a picture of it in the front pics that I show. Montgomery for 8, and then 2. And then Goff scrambled on the 1st and 10 from the 15 for 11. Montgomery scores. Huge running lane. At that moment, it's 14-3. I don't know about you, but I kind of had a feeling like, okay, they're really rolling against this team. They're really punching them in the mouth, and it doesn't look like the Packers are going to be able to answer. They did have a little stretch in the third quarter where they came back, but this drive right here, the second consecutive touchdown in a row, was the moment where I thought, okay, we might really be in for a blowout here. And sure enough, the differential ended up being pretty large. Some guys that I thought acquitted themselves well. Tracy Walker had a 2-play stretch. I believe it was in the second quarter. He blitzes. It may have been fourth quarter, actually. He blitzes on the first down. Yeah, it was the fourth quarter because Jordan Love ends up throwing the ball backwards. So like a lateral, basically, but it was a pass. Tracy Walker blitzed and kind of forced a little bit of a hurry in that. Initially, I thought maybe he touched the ball, but he didn't. And then the very next play, if you recall, Jordan Love throws deep, like over the middle, and Tracy Walker's the deep safety defending at like 22, 25 yards depth. Pretty cool when you're talking about a guy who wouldn't be a starter with all of the DB core healthy. On consecutive plays, he's able to be up near the line of scrimmage on a blitz, disrupt the quarterback throwing the ball. Potentially a fumble. I mean, it is a fumble, but potentially a fumble because Alex Anzalone's like nearby to the running back. The ball was thrown hard enough it goes out of bounds. And then the very next play, Walker's back there defending deep. Pretty cool. I'd like to take a look at his all 22 film if I can, tomorrow night or sometime this weekend. Going to be a busy weekend. Branch had like a ho-hum, 7 tackles, 1 pass defensed. I do have a little bit of a concern. Like, what's he doing on the field? Maybe you disagree, and that's cool, but what's he doing on the field with 6 minutes left and you're up 34-17? And he's already been carted off. Now it sounds like, second guessing or Monday morning quarterback, but I've been in that position as a coach where a player maybe came into a game with an injury. One year we had our starting quarterback wasn't able to practice at all week. Ankle problem, athletic kid, so he had in his mind he was able to move, and he was. This was an ankle injury. We're up 27-0 at the half. He scrambles in on a 3rd and 6 to put us up 27-0 at the half, and the head coach, says, "Hey, to me as a defensive coordinator, you guys got to finish this off. I'm taking him out. We've got what we need from him, and we finished it off like 42-6. But point is, at some point you've got to preserve an asset, and for me, maybe you disagree. Aiden Hutchinson is a star for real. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a great safety. Unfortunately, he's out for a while. That defense is different without Brian Branch. And I feel like it's a lapse in judgment there. And these are professional football coaches who are successful, and they're building a great team and a great culture. So, but I just felt like that was a moment they should have got him off the field. Someone should have foresaw, hey, maybe there's a bad ending to this. And Branch came off, appeared to be okay. Hopefully he is okay because he's a huge asset. I did think I saw the 3 inside linebacker look some early that I did a video out. I did a video on, I guess Wednesday night, maybe Wednesday afternoon. That looked really, I thought, shut down the Packers' run game. Basically, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, and Derek Barnes are on the field together, and sometimes Campbell's walking up playing outside linebacker, edge rusher on the line of scrimmage, and sometimes he's back at depth with a 3 inside linebacker look. I don't use the phrase off-ball linebacker, because there is no such position. But that look really got the Packers out of the run game completely. Again, I think the Packers' O-line was a factor. Isaiah Buggs, I thought played extremely well. His second game, right? And I thought the guy looked disruptive and really a handful for interior offensive linemen. This looks like the kind of matchup where the level of athletes, the number of high-quality athletes that the Lions have is really going to cause trouble for this Packers team. But perhaps that's too soon for me to make that statement because the Packers were missing 2 offensive linemen. Christian Watson's first game back. So maybe the return engagement in Detroit will be more evenly contested. Again, the Lions are playing at a talent deficit too, with guys hurt or out. Decker, the left tackle, came back and played, but didn't look like he was 100%. Got no idea as far as how healthy he was. You guys let me know what you thought watching the game. It looked like the type of game that if these two teams play multiple times, you would expect that the Lions are going to sweep or the Lions have an opportunity to. The offensive line differential was obvious. Lions offensive line versus the Packers D-line. I mean, they could run block them and they could pass block them. That's always a bad combination for a defense. When they can run block you and they can pass pro you, you're kind of at the mercy of the offensive coordinator and the quarterback not making a mistake. Jerry Jacobs did have the 2 interceptions. I think it was Cam Sutton with a huge tackle on the running back on that first speed option in the first quarter. Really kind of set the tone out on the edge. Branch had a pass defensed on a third down, I believe. Hutchinson was his usual disruptive self. Like I said, I believe he was credited with 1.5 sacks. It could have been like 3 or 3.5. I think he's playing really well. I'm just going to give you my impression. I think he's playing really well. And the people talking about him playing at a high level are correct, myself included. Having said that, there's been a number of sacks that he, quote, could have finished or was very close to finishing. I would suspect that Aiden Hutchinson's standards for himself is quite high. I think he would say he should have another sack or two this year. Which particular plays in question, I'm not sure. But my point is, he's disruptive. He's playing at the penalty on him was BS, by the way, tonight. That was not a face mask. He clearly had jersey and was just framing the guy up. But I think even Aiden Hutchinson would agree that he could play better. He could finish some of those sacks and really separate himself from some of the other outside linebacker, DN / edge rusher guys that are out there in the league. In any case, the Lions, put on a show tonight and really, for the second time this year, made a statement on Thursday Night Football in front of a national or worldwide audience that, they're going to be a difficult out for any team in the NFL, particularly when their offense can go out there over a 4-possession span and go touchdown, touchdown, field goal, and then touchdown. Of course, the fourth one in that progression or sequence was a short field after an interception by Jerry Jacobs. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the reaction video in the comment section. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media. If you haven't yet considered, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll try to put out some All-22 / End Zones angle film of some of the Lions players on Friday night. If you got a suggestion for who you'd like for me to focus on first, let me know in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time.